Hi folks, I'm going to talk today about some of the working knives and look at one particular type in particular. If you hung around back in the 17th century or whatever and you were in Britain, England perhaps, you might have had a little pocket knife like this or something not dissimilar. Quite commonly it would have a lamb's foot blade, which might look something like this. And that would do you for everyday tasks. If you might have wanted a stronger knife, you might have had a Barlow, which is actually very clearly a development of the same style of knife, only adding a couple of extra features. So we have a very similar shaped knife handle, and it's still a sort of teardrop shape, but we have this extra big reinforced bolster just to make the knife a bit tougher. And the clip point blades are quite common. Lamb's foot blades are probably more common. And as things went on, that style of knife developed. It's still made today, but in the meantime we have had knives like this, which is a British Army clasp knife of the Second World War. This one's actually dated for 1941. But again, we still have that sheep's foot blade. We still have that teardrop shape of the handle. But this time it's made with some sort of acrylic or plastic scales instead of wood. Now, if you were anywhere else, you might have had a different type of knife. You might have had, for example, if you were French, you might have had something that might have looked a bit like that, although this is only really 100 years old. The Opinel. I don't know how far back it goes before the Opinel factory. I don't imagine it was a totally new thing, but there are plenty of other knives like the Thiers knives and the Laguiole. In this period, if you were German, you might well have had a knife that looks a bit like this. This is what a German would call a folding butcher. It has a quite distinctive shape to both the handle and the blade. This kind of bull-nosed shape. Now, this one here is Carl Schlieper. This is a modern example, but these have been made for 300 years. Now, of course, there came a time when people started crossing over and going over to America, and they took these knife types with them. They developed knife types of their own, like, for example, the Stockman, which was an American inspired or designed knife, but it's still made by the cutlers of Sheffield right up until the very late part of the 19th century. But they developed on from this knife, and as I say, it was known as the folding butcher. But certainly, if we jump forward in time, from 1967 onwards, it got a new name. Now, when this new name originally came into parlance, I don't know, but it became the Sodbuster. Now, the Sodbuster was trademarked by the Case Knife Company in 1967. Now, this one here is actually the Sodbuster Jr. Now, I don't have the full-size Case Sodbuster, but I do have a Schrade example. Now, this is a big chunky knife. I just put it in my hand. You can see in the hand It's a full, more than a hand. If I put it next to the case Junior Sodbuster, you can see the difference there. So I've been collecting these knives for some time now, and I have a small selection which I want to share with you today. Now, the Schrade ones, these are actually a nice little knife to give to people, or to have as a backup knife, spare knives in bags or things that you're not going to use every day. Mainly because they are super cheap. Whilst the case might cost you in the UK around the £60 mark, the similarly sized Schrade knife there will only cost you 7 or 8. Add to that it is available in black and also in a nice yellow colour. You could try and pretend to yourself that it looks like ivory. I think it's actually supposed to look like the Delrin of the case knives, but there you are. Now, there are others still at the budget end of the market. Rough Riders. Now, this one is quite small, as is this one. They're both actually the same size, but both of these have a liner lock. Now, from a practical point of view, that actually makes them quite useful little knives, but from a legality point of view in the UK, it is a bit of a problem, because we're just not allowed locking knives. Equally, and now this one, which is another Rough Rider, but actually one I really like quite a lot. It's a nicely made, well made knife. Slightly larger, but still just on the legal side size-wise in the UK. But it has a back lock, and a back lock makes it an illegal knife nowadays. Yeah. There are other modern takes on it, which just take the one more. And whilst also on the just legal size, I have this one which came to me from America, although it's actually made in China along with the Rough Riders, which is the Bushmaster, which came to me from Jody, Big Red EDC. And for that one in there, again, it's quite large. It makes a really good working knife. And that one there, it's 1095 carbon steel, so it actually works. It's a good working knife. Modern takes on the same sort of concept, but different. For a start, we have the Mazrin Scout in micarta. Now, the Mazrin make this knife in various different types with different types of materials. This one happens to have a D2 tool steel blade with a stone wash and micarta handles. And this one, you'll notice, unlike all of the traditional Sodbusters, is you can take this one to pieces for cleaning and maintenance. So that gives it a very modern touch to it. Get that one in the bottom there. Okay, I just want to show you one that I've got a real twist on the theme. If I show you this knife, it clearly has the Sodbuster style handle shape, but first of all, it's bolstered, and secondly, instead of having the Sodbuster bullnose shape, wipe that blade a bit, this has a hollow ground clip point blade. So that's a very modern take on a very traditional knife. To see where this takes us, a truly modern knife, which actually takes most of its design cues from the Swiss Army knife, in that it's a multi-tool type knife, although this one doesn't have tools. This is just what's called the Tech Tool 1. It's another Bokeh knife, Bokeh Plus. But if you look at this knife, then you ask yourself, what shape is that handle? Now it's become fatter, haven't we all? The blade has become slightly broader, but nonetheless, this is overall very much a Sodbuster style knife. So we've gone from the very traditional 300-year-old Carl Sleeper Sodbuster through to various modern representations of it, which are the Rough Rider Moonglow, Rough Rider work knife, two Schrade Sodbuster Juniors, the small case Sodbuster Jr and lovely jig bone, which is a very posh take on the Sodbuster, to the Bokeh Juliet, Bokeh Magnum series. So that's their budget series. Really is budget, but it's actually quite a nicely made knife. Lovely polished blade, and like all Bokehs, it came very sharp out of the box. The Bokeh Tech Tool 1, which is a sort of take on the same theme. And then towards the front here we've got the Bushmaster, which again is a modern Chinese-made wooden handle, $10.95. Now they cost between £5 and £10. I think they've just put the price up to about $5 and $10. I think they've just put the price up to about $12. Perhaps that's because of the popularity that they've got from Jody adopting them as his channel knife and giving them away to everybody, including me. Another Rough Rider. This one I lock back. It's a very nice quality Rough Rider Sodbuster. And if you're in somewhere where you're allowed a locking knife, I would heartily recommend that as a good cheap pocket knife. Again, it's only £10, $12, probably less in the States, I don't know. There's the large Schrade. It's a great working knife, and here $8.95 I think it is, from Heine Haynes. And an odd thing with these ones, the large ones, generally come sharp. These little ones generally come quite blunt. Don't know why, but must be somewhere to do with the person that sits and sharpens them. And then finally at the front there I've got the Mazarin Scout. So these are my Sodbusters and takes on the Sodbuster, and I hope you found them slightly interesting, and the tiny little bit of history also interesting. And thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this at all, please feel free to like. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and click on the little bell. You'll get updates of the other knives that I'm doing. And as I say, if we ever get to 500, I will be doing a 500 subscriber giveaway. So, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.